Microphone 3, Solange Drouin, Vice President to Public Affairs and General Manager of ADISC. The association represents the video producers and record producers. It's a pleasure to speak after Marie-Denise Pelletier because I've been able to amend my intervention, and I will also join her in what she said. It's difficult to summarize, Mr. Minister, in a few words everything we indeed intend to tell you. So let us not delude ourselves. The Copyright Act is an economic act. This is an act that was put in place some 150 years ago. I'm not too sure, but a great number of years ago. And it finally established the foundation for the compensation of rights that authors and performers and producers and directors can use with people that use their content. So it's an economic act, despite the cultural aspects that stem from it. This act, in its latest version, wants to be technologically neutral. I'm sure it's something you've heard very often, and therefore we hope that this, whatever the environment in which the use of these works occurs, whether it be in the physical or digital world, we would want, it's not because you change the environment that you move from a physical environment to a digital environment, that the authors, that performers and directors should not be entitled to the same protection. We know full well that this new environment has led to a major change in the situation. If I talk about the sector of music, I will not dwell on the fact that the music sector is the sector that was the hardest hit and is at the forefront of everything that will take place in the other cultural environments, whether it's film, television, or in the book editing industry. Books are more and more shared on the net, on the internet. And in light of this, we would ask you that in the next version of this act, that it be technologically neutral and that it offer the same protections. And in order to do so, we have to put an end to this confusion around the internet. People who are asking you for free access, they confuse access to a market because music and cultural products or cultural works are things that are exchanged. People live from that, and access to knowledge. As far as I'm concerned, these are two different things. On the internet, there's 60% of the traffic on the internet that aims at getting information for travel purposes, etc. And there's 40% of the internet traffic that is there to acquire legally in a small part and illegally in a large part entertainment products and works. So in this whole rhetoric on free access, we confuse access to universal knowledge, access to information, access to knowledge in the broader sense, and access to a market. We mustn't forget that there's no shame to this. I have no qualms whatsoever with this. The fact I'm saying that cultural works make some people live. It makes authors live, press relationists, etc. It's thousands of people who depend on the work of these creators, and it's a major economic factor. So we hope this piece of legislation will take that into account, and we're asking you to give us, through this legislation, new tools that would allow us to negotiate and to have business relationships that are healthy with the new users of content that are, of course, the new sites and the new access, to internet, and provide us with the tools to deal with those people. Thank you, Mrs. Drouin. Microphone 4.
I'm Olivier Charbonnet. I'm a professional librarian at Concordia. I'm a blogger at Consult.ca, and I'm also at Francophone National Association of Librarians. I'm here, Minister, to expose the paradox of librarians who are Canada. On the one hand, we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on Canadian content and music documentation and other things. So we structure the industry. We're a pole that consumes a lot of Canadian content protected by copyright. On the other hand, we have access to exceptions to the Copyright Act for fair dealings and for specific reasons. I'm here to present, not to give you a shopping list, you can see that on the internet site, but to give you an idea of our situation. Copyright allows for a monopoly for the person who holds this copyright, and in the context of monopoly, it's difficult to have a fair market. That's why I think that libraries have this stick as well as the carrot. Universities, as well as other institutions, are turning towards libraries and librarians to better understand, to help communities to understand the copyright. So that's why I'm here to ask for a few simple principles. For instance, relax the definition of copyright, as in the U.S., where there's a more open definition, and incorporate what was defined at the Supreme Court of Canada as to how the employer understand fair dealings in the context of private research. So a general idea of fair dealings, for instance, in the United States, they have the right to fair use for satire and other types of use that we don't have in Canada. I would also ask that copyright for the Crown be abolished, or that the government consider disseminating these through licenses such as Creative Commons. As far as technology is concerned, I'm going through my shopping list right now. The idea being to limit responsibility of institutions concerning getting around copyright and avoid criminalizing technological measures. And this just for cases of copyright infringement rather than other cases. So libraries are there to structure the market and to be a pull in terms of copyright. Thank you. I have a question. The right of the Crown, research for libraries. Why is it so important for you? Well, I'll give you an example of Concordia. For many years, we had held government publications in our library, which allowed us to get all the government publications. We had them on in our library, and we gave them access to the population. It was part of the university's mandate. When things are disseminated by internet, institutions would like to recover these documents on their service to preserve and to maintain access. This is what we do to maximize bandwidth use for our community. These are different technological measures also for long-term conservation, but to do so, institutions are wondering whether we have the right or whether we have to ask you permission for these documents, in the sense that there's a broad broadcasting, putting it on my server, sending it to researchers, making copies in terms of study. These are the reasons why the Crown copyright, we're wondering what it protects truly in terms of the government, as opposed to what it takes away from all Canadians who are studying and who want to learn from government publications. I work for the management school, particularly at the library. I help people to make up business plans. They have to submit to their professors reports and statistics that you can find on Industry Canada's sites, including decisions, all sorts of things that come from the government. And it's not clear whether they can do multiple copies, whether they can hand them to professors. So that's a very specific example. I can just imagine what's happening throughout Canada and how we're limiting the use of government information to Canadians.